Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, the best place for new and aspiring lawyers on all things law school, the legal industry, and the lawyering life. I'm Angela Vorpahl of angelavorpahl.com and the Law School Network on Facebook. I'm a law school strategy coach helping law students get the grades and strategically master the next 3 years so that you can start your life and your legal career on your own terms. If you are in law school or interested in law school, then I definitely invite you to check out the Law School Network Facebook group. It is full of over 1,000 law students and pre-law students all connecting and supporting each other. I'm so incredibly proud of the community we've built there, and I can't wait for you to be a part of it. The link will be in the description, so definitely check it out, and I'm excited to see you inside. Okay, so in today's video, we are tackling the issue of law school rankings, what they are, how they're determined, and why they seem to matter so much. So when we talk about law school rankings, we're talking about the US News and World Report rankings, because yes, it is true that there are various publications that post their own rankings of the 200-ish ABA approved law schools in the country, but far and away the most influential are the US News and World Report rankings. So those are going to be the ones that we dive into today. And it's really important to know what components make up these rankings, because so often law students are sort of hit over the head by the quote unquote importance of these rankings without really knowing what goes into it, what factors into it, and how, if at all, that should influence your decision about where to go to law school. So we're going to take a look at that, and then we're going to talk through when and how these rankings can or should factor in to where you apply to law school and ultimately where you decide to go. So the US News and World Report rankings are based on 4 major categories: quality assessment, selectivity, placement success, and faculty, law school, and library resources. So let's take a quick look at the breakdown of each of those categories. The quality assessment category is based on 2 metrics: a quality assessment done by academics, so law school deans and law school faculty chairs, and a quality assessment done by legal practitioners, so practicing lawyers and judges. And for the individuals participating in this quality assessment, they will rank all 200 ABA-approved law schools on a scale of 1 to 5. Now, in practice, they can base their own personal ranking on anything that they feel is important. And so just keep in mind that this tends to perpetuate and support the law schools that have name brand recognition, that have this perception of quality and prestige, and tends to hurt law schools who have less name recognition or are lesser known. The next category, the selectivity category, is determined by 3 metrics. The first is the median LSAT or GRE score of a law school's students. The second is the median undergraduate GPA of a law school's students. And the third is the law school's acceptance rate. So a few things to keep in mind about this category. The first is to recognize that the hard numbers themselves are what drive the rankings. And so there is no difference built in between a college that historically inflates its GPAs versus a college that is much more competitive. The higher GPA is still going to be more powerful. The same thing happens with the undergraduate major itself. And so there is nothing built in to differentiate a soft sciences or social sciences undergraduate major from a STEM major, for example, in terms of the difficulty level of the major or the competitiveness of how those majors are graded. The last thing to keep in mind is that acceptance rate, that selectivity rating, actually incentivizes law schools to encourage students to apply so that they can then reject them and thereby increase their selectivity ranking by decreasing their acceptance rate. Moving on to the placement success category, there are 5 metrics underneath this category. The first 2 are the percentage of law students who are able to find jobs at graduation and within 10 months of graduation. Then there's the percentage of law students who pass the bar. And the next 2 are actually new this year. So one is the percentage of law students who have incurred debt at all during the time that they were in law school, and the average debt incurred by law students at that law school. A few things to keep in mind about this category. So the employment percentages have actually improved over time, in the sense that what law schools used to do was, for any student who wasn't able to find a job upon graduation, the law schools would hire that student on a part-time basis so that the school could improve its employment percentage numbers. But in line with ABA reporting rules, now law schools get much higher credit if the law student is in a full-time, long-term, JD required job not funded by the law school. The other metrics to be aware of in this category are the two new ones that were added this year. And although there was initially an excitement of the recognition that the cost of tuition has skyrocketed at law schools and the student loan debt has inflated over the years, and there was a hope that adding these rankings would incentivize law schools to cut the cost of tuition or increase scholarship opportunities, now there's a worry that has set in that these ranking categories will actually incentivize law schools to recruit and admit students who are generationally wealthy, who can pay these higher costs of tuition out of pocket, thereby not incur any student loan debt, and thereby increase the law school's rankings. And this, of course, is a huge problem because there's also a racial disparity between students who incur student loan debt and the amount of student loan debt they incur versus students who come from generationally wealthy families that are able to pay out of pocket. So definitely keep your eye on these two metrics, and we will see how they in fact influence law school's behaviors over these coming years. The last category is faculty, law school, and library resources. And the three main metrics underneath this category are amounts spent on instruction and support staff, the student to faculty ratio, and library resources. And this category tends to get quite a bit of criticism because of the outdatedness of some of the metrics that it measures, including the number of hours that a library is open to students or the number of books that a law school has in its library, which tend to benefit the larger and more established law schools. So now you know what goes into the law school rankings, and the tougher question is, how do you actually use those law school rankings to play into your decision of where to apply to law school and ultimately where to go to law school? So I think something that is helpful to understand is kind of how the rankings are categorized. And so this is by no means an official delineation, but it's generally accepted that the law schools are broken down into 4 tiers. So tier 1 are law schools ranked 1 through 50, tier 2, law schools ranked 51 through 100, tier 3, law schools ranked 101 to 150, and tier 4, law schools ranked 151 to 200. And so as you're thinking through how to categorize and prioritize the law schools, think through them in chunks of 50, because within each tier, it's far less important the number ranking of the law school. If it's within, for example, a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4, they are generally viewed very, very equally in terms of ranking. The next thing to understand about the rankings is that the T14 law schools are in a category all on their own. And so you probably have heard of the top 14 ranked law schools, which are the law schools that are consistently ranked 1 through 14 over the course of many, many years. And because of that perception of these law schools, they do open doors to a subset of job opportunities that are much more difficult to get coming from a law school outside of the T14. So if you look at the U.S. Supreme Court justices over the years, overwhelmingly they come from T14 law schools. The number of U.S. Supreme Court clerks also overwhelmingly come from T14 law schools. If you are looking to set yourself up for a career in academia, be a law professor, for example, then yes, coming from a T14 law school will help. And there are certain top-ranked law firms that exclusively recruit from T14 law schools. So for this small subset of job opportunities, yes, having that name brand recognition and that prestige of the law school you graduated from definitely does help. But the problem comes when law students see that small section of job opportunities and kind of view it as the end-all be-all, where no other factors for any other law school in any other part of the country should play in. And that's just not the case. Because what you ultimately want from your law school degree is to be able to build the life and build the legal career that you want. And for so many of us who already know that we want to live and work in different parts of the country, or practice a particular type of law, or become financially independent sooner and not be buried by student loan debt, going to a lower ranked law school in a region where we know we want to live and work is and can be a much better option. And so as inconvenient and frustrating as I know it is, choosing law schools based purely on their rank is never going to give you a full picture of what a best fit law school looks like for you. So I really encourage you guys to do that deep dive of asking yourself these questions so that you can really choose a law school that reflects the goals that you have for yourself, both in terms of what you want to do and what you want your life to look like. And the last thing I'll say is that I personally was faced with that dilemma between going to a higher ranked law school for a higher tuition price or going to a lower ranked law school that was offering me more scholarship money in an area with a stronger legal market. And I chose the latter, and I'm so incredibly glad that I did. It was a wonderful, best fit choice on my part. But just to get you guys thinking about those factors and the pieces that can come into play later down the road and how important those are to really consider upfront. So unfortunately, the best approach is to not blindly follow these rankings, but use them as a tool to help you factor into your decision to ultimately make the best choice for you. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. I hope that gave you some insight into how the rankings are created and how to use them to find a best fit law school for you. If you guys enjoyed the video and want to see more like it, definitely hit subscribe to see new videos coming out every other Tuesday. And definitely check out these two amazing videos over here as well. Congratulations to all of those of you who are headed into law school this cycle. And if you are headed that way or interested in learning more, definitely check out the Law School Network Facebook group in the link below in the description. I can't wait to see all of you guys inside. And that's it for this week. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.